up, fam? It's your girl, Mrs. Tony 2 times, and I'm back with another video. In this episode of Hood Tales, we'll be talking about the absolutely sad story of a Columbus, Georgia couple's toxic relationship that ended in tragedy. But before we get into this video, welcome if you're new here to our channel. Please feel free to subscribe, click that notification bell so you never miss an upload. If you're rocking with the content, hit that like button. Share this video with everyone you know. Make sure you watch until the end to hear the full story. Please be advised of the following. All right, let's jump right into it. In July 2019, in Columbus, Georgia, 29-year-old Jerica Marie Spellman, originally from Jessup, Georgia, was a mother who was described as being full of life and love. Jerica had 7 children. Her youngest ranged from ages 2 to 20 days old. 2-year-old King Brandon Jackson was born on September 6, 2017. 8-month-old Kinsley Marie Jackson was born on November 1, 2018, and 20-day-old Christian Gabriella Jackson was born on June 27, 2019. Jerica shared her 3 youngest with her longtime boyfriend, 27-year-old Trevine Brandon Jackson. The couple had been together for several years. Some reports say 5 years. They lived together in Columbus. Jerica's 4 older children did not live with her at that time. Jerica always saw the good in people and was known in the community. She worked as a dancer at Carousel Lounge, a local nightclub in Columbus. She had an upbeat personality and liked to make people laugh. Everyone who knew Jerica said she was a wonderful mother and did everything for her children. Trevine was known as a hard worker, holding down several jobs to support his children. He was employed at a local car wash called Blue Fire Detail. Friends of Trevine described him as someone who grinds and puts taking care of his children above everything. There was no doubt that they were doting parents. Trevine was a Columbus native and came from a big, loving family. He had 2 brothers and 8 sisters and a host of nieces, nephews, aunts, uncles, and cousins. Trevine had his shares of ups and downs after getting arrested back in June 2013 for Mary Jane possession and intent to distribute. He pleaded guilty in May 2014 and was sentenced to time served and 7 years probation. Trevine would end up violating the terms of his probation when he was arrested in May 2018 after police were called by Jerica to a home in the 500 block of Parr Road in Columbus. Reports say Jerica told police that Trevine had pushed her down, causing her to hit her face. Trevine admitted to police he had pushed her. The case was deferred to make a final verdict pending Trevine attending anger management classes. He also had to pay $140 in court costs. Records show both Jerica and Trevine had to attend hands-off classes for documented assaults on each other. While there was no resolution in the case, a warrant was eventually issued for Trevine's arrest for violating his probation. The couple's relationship definitely had volatile times. Jerica decided she no longer wanted to be in a relationship with Trevine. The couple would go through a custody battle among their 3 children. Jerica had custody of their 2 girls, Kinsley and Christian, while Trevine had custody of their son, King. Jerica made plans to move back to her hometown in Jessup, Georgia, and she was taking the girls with her. She also wanted to take King, but that is something they would both not see eye to eye on. On Wednesday, July 17th, 2019, Columbus police received a call from a woman frantically telling them to send police to a home off Cosita Road near 20th Avenue to check on the welfare of her family members. The woman told dispatch that her nephew, later identified as Trevine, showed up to her home, beat up and wounded with cuts and scratches all over him. She told dispatch that her son went to the house and they said that everybody inside was expired. At 8:53 p.m., when officers arrived at the 608 unit at the Elizabeth Canty Homes apartments, they made a gruesome discovery. The apartment didn't have much furnishings, just 2 pieces of sofa and a pallet of blankets. As officers got closer to the pallet, they saw 4 people laying there who appeared to have sustained fatal cut wounds. They immediately taped off the area, and detectives were soon on the scene. The 4 individuals were identified as Jerica Spellman and her 3 young children, King, Kensley, and Christian. It was apparent that they all had passed away from multiple deep cut wounds. The news of Jerica and her children's slaying shocked not only her family, but the community at large. The apartment was leased by Trevine, according to the Housing Authority of Columbus. He had been living in that unit since January 2019. Who could have done this to a mother and her children? The findings of the victims were the most brutal the coroner's office said they had ever seen in their career. Before police even released the name of their suspect, social media had already begun to make their assumptions and said that Trevine was the one responsible for slaying Jerica and the children. There was a lot of speculation and hearsay before all the facts had surfaced. But could the speculations have been right? Trevine was arrested without incident at a residence on Joy Road in Columbus a short time later. He was booked on violating his probation. After being interviewed by police without an attorney present, Trevine blurted out, "I did it, okay? I deleted all of them. I did it. I deleted them. I wasn't thinking clearly at the time. Wasn't myself. A lot was going through my head. I did it. I didn't want nobody having my kids." In Trevine's interrogation video, detectives asked him what happened that day and what led up to him taking Jerica and their children's lives. Trevine told detectives that he and Jerica were arguing about King. He said since Jerica was leaving to go back to her hometown and was taking their 2 girls, Jerica wanted to take King as well. She had concerns about who would take care of him when she was gone. Jerica did not really care for his family, Trevine told detectives. He tried to assure her, he said. He told her he was going to take care of King and he had it under control. But the argument got heated and escalated to violence. Trevine told detectives that he and Jerica went to retrieve weapons. Jerica went to the kitchen and grabbed 2 kitchen knives, and Trevine said he grabbed a weapon too. He told detectives Jerica cut him first in the neck, and then they fell and she wounded him again in the chest. He said that's when he began cutting the mother of his children repeatedly until she stopped moving. He said Jerica was still alive and breathing and was still able to talk. Trevine told detectives he then turned his attention to the children. He said he took King's life first, then Christian, and lastly Kinsley, wounding them 2 to 3 times in their upper bodies. Trevine told detectives during his interview that Jerica watched as he did what he did to their children. He told them Jerica said that she loved them and that she was sorry for everything she had done. Detectives said earlier in the day, on July 17, 2019, Trevine sent a text message to a group chat with his family members saying, "I love y'all." Police believed that text was sent around the time of the horrendous slayings. When detectives asked him why the children, he responded he didn't want anyone else disciplining his children. He told detectives he realized that their mother wasn't going to make it and that he was going to prison and he didn't want them to be with anyone else. After his confession, Trevine asked God to please forgive him. When officers were at the scene, they said they found what they believed was the weapon used in the horrific crime. When Trevine was arrested, he was incoherent due to downing bottles of over-the-counter pain relievers in an attempt to take his own life. As a result, he was questioned 7 hours after he was arrested and 14 hours after the horrendous slayings. In addition to his probation violation, Trevine was charged with 4 counts of murder. Police call the slayings acts of family violence, a legal designation in Georgia that allows for harsher penalties for violent crimes by partners or parents. Trevine was held at the Muskogee County Jail until his preliminary hearing. He was placed on special watch while in jail so he won't harm himself. On July 25th, 2019, Trevine was reportedly taken off of special watch and placed in an area of the jail designated for people charged with high-profile type of crimes. His preliminary hearing was held the following day. The judge ordered he be held without bond while he awaited trial. During the hearing, it was revealed that not only did Trevine confess to the slayings, but he also wrote letters to Jerica's family apologizing for what had happened to Jerica and the children. While he was in jail, waiting to be tried for the slayings, Trevine was sentenced to 10 years in prison for violating his probation. In December 2019, he was set to be transferred to prison to serve his 10-year sentence. On December 30th, 2019, at around 4:28 p.m., Trevine Brandon Jackson was found in his single inmate cell, hanging. Trevine was not someone officers could just open the cell for, so when assistants and nurses arrived and went inside, they took him down and called emergency medical services. They tried to resuscitate him before transporting him to Piedmont Hospital, where he was pronounced expired at 5:07 p.m. Deputies at the jail had reportedly seen Trevine behaving normally throughout the day in the areas he was assigned to. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation was called to investigate Trevine's passing. Family members from both sides were devastated at the outcome. Trevine's family had to find out the difficult news like everyone else from the news. They believe his passing could have been prevented or at least prolonged had he remained under supervision. Trevine had expressed tendencies to take his own life on more than one occasion in the past, according to detectives. The first time was in 2014 after his father passed away, and then twice on the day of the slayings. Both families saw Trevine's end coming near. They wish he could have stayed on special watch. Jerica's brother told reporters that he talked to Trevine about going to prison long term. He said Trevine told him he couldn't do it. Jerica's brother even asked Trevine to speak to young men about DV relationships and the consequences of it. Trevine skirted around the idea before vaguely agreeing to participate. Jerica's brother said by his tone and the way he said it, he knew Trevine was contemplating to end his own life. Jerica's brother feels like their family and Jerica's other children won't get the answers they deserve. Jerica's brother said that he believes his sister lost her life in self-defense. He believed Trevine was under the influence of a substance that caused him to carry out the horrific crime. He believes if Trevine was sober, he wouldn't have done it. Police did not release any evidence to support this claim. Trevine's end to his life closed the investigation. Detectives said they were working night and day preparing a case to present to a jury. But according to case reports, there would have never been a trial. Trevine told detectives he wanted a plea deal to expedite the case. He would plead guilty to spare the family the heartache and trauma of a trial. Before his passing, Trevine told detectives that if he could do July 17th, 2019 all over again, he would have walked away the moment the argument started. Wow, fam, this is an extremely sad story. My condolences to the families and everyone involved in this terrible tragedy. It's so incredibly heartbreaking what happened to Jerica and her children and their father Trevine. What Trevine said he did was monstrous. There's no denying that, but I feel for both sides. Despite any disagreements, I believe both families realize that no one wins in this life-altering circumstance. The losses are too great and significant and impacts both sides to their core. It's just so sad and unfortunate. The fact that the argument between Jerica and Trevine escalated to the point that it did shows that their relationship was extremely unhealthy and had been for some time. Whether anyone knew all the depths of it, they had a documented history of putting their hands on each other. I feel for the situation because children are involved, so there's no judgment on why they made the choices they made. And it's clear that one or both were trying to move on from having a romantic relationship. So the issue now trickles down to the care of the children. But how do you navigate co-parenting when the other party doesn't want to let go or come to a fair compromise for the sake of the children on both sides? I don't want to imagine the energy that had to be present in that home on July 17th, 2019. My heart truly goes out to everyone impacted by this horrible situation. Fam, tell us your thoughts on this tragedy in the comments below. All right, fam, that's it for this episode of Hood Tales. Thank you all so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. This is your girl, Mrs. Tony Two Times, and I'm out.